Okay, people, I'm gonna go ahead and launch in because we got a lot of technology to talk about. Thank you for coming to like what is potentially like a pretty long technology demo. I am amazed at your bravery. So thanks for being here. Michelle and I are gonna try to make it not boring. What up, CD? Good to have you. Can't wait to meet you in person someday. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to start by talking about Gmail today. So some of these things that I'm about to go over, you guys might know a lot about already. Let me get to where I want to be. Yeah, so you might know a lot already, but I'm just going to share with you my little tips and tricks for Gmail. Fun fact about me, my job before coming to Platt 3.5 years ago was literally sending emails all day long. I worked for a tech company in sales, and all I did was work in Gmail. So spent a lot of time in this lovely tech platform, and it's amazing. I think some of the things that you can do are surprising. If you can't see right now, I'm getting the rainbow wheel of death from Gmail, which means that I can't really show you anything. So let's see if it's like that on all of my pages. Yep, cool. Sometimes tech does exactly what you want it to do at exactly the right moment. Just give this a minute to see if it, goes away anytime soon. Anyone got any good jokes, dad jokes, knock jokes they want to share with the crowd? Cool. Michelle, are you set up on your end to go through things?
I am. Yeah, I could hop right in if you want.
Yeah, I think maybe you should take over and I'm going to figure out what's going on with my computer.
Okay, sounds good. So quick transition. Let's talk about dotloop, right? It's vital. It can sometimes be annoying, but I want to empower you all with extra tips and tricks about how to get the most out of it. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's get all this going. All right, let me get back to my starting page. Cool. So y'all can see my dotloop premium here. Good looking piece here. Quick note right off the top, just make sure whenever you're in dotloop that you see this Platt Collective logo and premium at the top. Sometimes agents will run into issues because they're actually in the free version of dotloop where it says 5 free loops remaining. And then you lose a lot of the functionality that we get with your premium account. So, just make sure that's always there. Safe check anytime you log in, maybe you typed in the wrong, a different email address that day and then you get in the wrong one. Okay, so starting off to go through some tips and tricks with you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and do the beginning point and create a loop. You can see in my default profile here, which is basically my version, my own agent type profile. So you're not seeing, all the admin stuff, all the extra privileges. This should be the screens that you guys see too. So I am just going to create very basic loop here real quick so we can get started. I'll note you guys have, of course, run into this, the fact that a loop template is required. We do that so that a number of documents that you'll need for a transaction will already be in there. It also allows us to ask those questions that pop up when you submit documents for review. So just things for your knowledge. I'm gonna go and select a buying loop just because this is the new agent training and that's where most of y'all are going to start. So let's hop into this loop. And so first off, you can see, these are the basic documents that I was mentioning that we have included here in this buying loop so that you're off on the right foot. One of the first things that is good to have you, fill out during a transaction is this policy on agency, right? You need it for closing. It's a good way to start off and say, hey, this is what it means for me to represent you as a buyer. It's not like, just to be clear, it's not binding them to be your buyer, but it's just a good way to start off and start to set expectations. And one thing I notice is the agents sometimes forget to sign this document themselves. So, good practice to hop in here, me as the agent, I can go ahead and sign this now. Yep. And then, fairly self-explanatory then to assign this field for your buyer in this case. So you can click assign field, add person. I'm going to go ahead and say that Rosie is my buyer. Right? Wouldn't you want me to represent you as a non-licensed realtor? So Rosie's my buyer. And just so you know, you can fill out all of this information too. At any point, any additional information you can fill in dotloop is only going to help. It'll help pre-populate certain fields. It won't hurt, but it's also not necessary if you don't have it or just don't want to do it. So let me go and add Rosie, and now this is assigned to her. So the most standard way, as many of you may have already encountered, to send a document off for signature is to click save and share. Yes, we want Rosie to sign. Perfect, easy. Let's say here, I'll go ahead and share that with her. Great. But let's say Rosie and I are in person and she hasn't signed, and I'm like, hey, while I have you here, let's go ahead and sign some documents, starting with this policy on agency. One feature that I want you guys to know about is under this More tab, you can host in-person signing. So Rosie's with me. I want her to sign. I'm going to click continue. And you can see here, hand control over to Rosie Newman. Okay, so Rosie's here. There you go, Rosie. You can now sign this and can get ready to sign. So I'm going to start signing. Rosie, click here. Great. Yep, pretending I'm Rosie. Great, and I'm done. That's okay because I only actually had her assigned, but now I can also see why people end up signing both lines. I often see two sets of signatures. I'm like, okay, now I get it. I can see why. But anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna skip that. Great, so now I'm done. But see, now you can see it kicks me out of there because it's saying like, yeah, you gave this to Rosie. I'm gonna log out of everything else. Rosie can't go peeking on what I have on my dotloop. It sort of makes it separate. So give me a moment to pop back on there, but yeah, in-person signing, good feature to know about. Okay, heading back into my loop. So we have these initial documents, but obviously you're going to need more documents than just these in a transaction. So I want to go over real quick the 3 ways that you can add documents just to clear up any questions about that. So I've gone to this add document button here, and you see these 3 options. So I feel like the most common one is going to be templates, because you can access any of IAR's residential documents. And just a quick FYI, we have these copies of the residential and commercial documents, as well as these originals here. We have the copies because you have to have an NRDS ID to see those originals. I don't have that, for example. So I always go to the copy. One thing that people often overlook is the fact that there's a search bar here. So you don't just have to scroll through forever. You can type, you can find whatever you need to. One document that I find that people have a hard time finding is one of these COVID waivers that you're supposed to have sign and have your client sign before showings. So I'm going to pull that one in just so you can, just so we can talk
Michelle,
about the fact
I'm
that
noticing that waiver doesn't say COVID in it.
Exactly, Rosie, and that's why people
confusing.
have a hard time finding it. Yeah, it says COVID in it, but I actually use the word waiver to search for that. And yeah, that's exactly why it's hard to find. If you pop in here, and by the way, like I said, if you fill out any of this info, that's only going to help you. Yeah, it says it in here, but yeah, that's why it's hard to find. So that's the easiest way to pull in any other documents you would need. You go to those templates, it's already ready to go. It's dot looped up, so to speak. But just because there's not a document already in dotloop doesn't mean that you can't use it in a transaction and even like type into it in dotloop and send it off for signature. You totally can. Flat PDFs, just regular PDFs, are also available to be pulled into dotloop. So I'm going to show an example of that too. I'm going to browse for a PDF on my computer. I have one Yeah, one example I was thinking of, if I can select it, a flat PDF would be like, you know, bylaws for a homeowners association. Let's say that a homeowners association says, yeah, we want the buyer to read these and sign them and prove that they've read them. So I've got this flat PDF here. And by the way, this is made up. Like I did find the Heron Morton bylaws, but then I added this signature part at the bottom. They don't actually have that online. But so if you have something like this where you're like, okay, I need to fill this out, I want to do it on Dotloop, there is a way. And it starts with this add menu. So straight off the bat for this first box, so you know, it's looking for the name there. Two options, you can just do text, or you can even do this one that specifically says name. So I'm gonna do that just for funsies. So I've got that there. If I need to make this box bigger, I can use this triangle in the corner to drag it out. Another fun way to make it bigger though involves the power of shift, which sounds like a book that Mark would have us read. But it is the shift key in this case. So if I want to make this box bigger, let's say out to here, I can hit shift and then click. Now it's bigger. Now let's say I'm like, oh crap, now it's not centered. I can hit shift and then use my arrow keys to move it around. So I'm going to use my left arrow key while holding shift to get that nice and centered, my down arrow key to get it closer to the line. Oh, too far. There we go. If I want to use this same size text box in multiple places, you can see over on the side here, there's some commands that you can use. So, you know, it gives me for the Mac, Command Shift C. So I'm clicking in there, Command Shift C for copy and Command Shift V for paste. Let me see if that actually did it. Yeah, there we go. So now I have this second box. So let's say there's two people who need to sign this actually. Now I've got this second box here and no need to resize. So that's how you can add and move around a text box. Did I somehow lose my own? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, so next up, this signature field. That's going to be a pretty common one, right? That's the main thing. You need people to be able to sign things, even if it doesn't have the Dotloop part set up. So you can add the signature box, you can assign it, same kind of deal there, you can resize it to a certain point. And then lastly here on this add menu, which, you know, you can see there's different options, you can add checkboxes, you can do all sorts of stuff, but the last thing I'm going to put on here is this date field. Okay, let me go ahead and delete this one. So I am going to go ahead and assign this to Rosie as well. And something else that you can choose to do if you want is assign other fields besides the signature box to your buyer or to anyone. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that as an example. The only thing is when you go to save and share, you want to make sure that they don't just have the ability to sign, but to fill and sign if you want them to be able to do more than just sign. So important point there. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. And then let's just say, you know, it's been a couple days, Rosie hasn't got it. If you go to reshare, you can easily recheck that box next to her. Yeah, fill and sign and reshare it with her whenever I need to. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's good on there. And just as a note, if you have a document that has a bunch of lines and you need to add a bunch of boxes to it to make it a Dotloop document, and you're like, man, this is going to take forever, even with the copy paste function, you can actually just email support and ask them to turn that into a Dotloop document for you, and they will. So don't feel like you have to do it all on your own. You can definitely ask for help to take a PDF from regular PDF to Dotloop fillable. Let me back out of here. And the last way to add a document, which I just think it's crazy cool how this works, is email. So this whole thing here is an email address. And basically, if you have an attachment on an email you can send it to this email address and it will go to this specific folder in this specific loop. So I'll show you guys, for example. So I'm going to copy this whole big long email address and just go to something that has an attachment. Great. That one actually doesn't have an attachment. I was confused. I'm like, I know I got something. Okay. Great. So some earnest money here. Let me go ahead and forward that. Let's say I want a copy of the earnest money in there. I can send it to that email address. And the most fun part, actually waiting for it to show up. When I tested it out, it took me 2 refreshes to see it show up. Okay. Well, maybe we'll give that a second, but aha, magic, right? Crazy magic. And of course, you can always rename stuff like that. That's the EM. So yeah, something fun to know about. Something else fun. So all of this is fun, right? You're like, how do I even associate between what's fun and not? It's all fun, it's technology. So y'all know, pretty easy. You can hop into this purchase agreement, start filling it out from scratch. Whatever, you can fill it out from scratch every time if you want, but you don't have to. That's the next point. You can go to this templates page here, and I'm gonna create a personal purchase agreement template so that me as my agent self doesn't have to fill it out from scratch each time. I know the stuff that's gonna be there every time, and why fill it out every time? So I feel like I went through that fast. I'm gonna go to add a document, templates, and I'm gonna go ahead and search for purchase agreement. Purchase agreement, improved property, cool. So gonna copy that into my personal documents folder here. And then I can click into it. And in this case, purchase agreement. So let me go ahead and fill out. I know I'm always going to be with Plot Collective. And, you know, this is me. Could go on through and fill out any other stuff that's pretty standard. Like I know that the earnest money should be delivered within 48 hours. I'm always going to put that in my purchase agreement. And then whatever else, any other kind of standard things that you always mark, you can go ahead and mark them. And then click save. And then you can even add it directly to a loop. So I'm gonna go and add this to my tech training loop. And boom. Now I've got this templated version in there. I can even click view loop straight from here. And now I don't have to start from scratch. Let's see, I guess this is somewhat confusing here. I meant to rename this one so it'd be clearer, but yeah, can hop in here. Oh my goodness, look at that. Now I don't have to even type that in. It's already there. And you can do that. You can fill in as much as you want so that you have it handy. Save yourself time. Why make things harder? Let's say, so that's that. Moving on for a quick example in the purchase agreement, I wanted to point out the fact that, so let's say, this is already filled out. I'm gonna go ahead and assign this to Rosie. And let's say that Rosie has signed this. And I know you guys, some of you who have been in dotloop, you've come across this scenario. Someone has already signed a contract and you realize, oh shoot, there's something I need to change. Oh crap, now that I'm gonna change it, you'll see if you haven't come across this yet, it's gonna say, hey, if you make any changes, it's going to clear the signatures. Which of course, dotloop has people's best interests in mind. They don't want people being shady and changing contracts, behind people's backs without them signing on to what they're signing on to. But I'm gonna say there are those cases where you really need to both preserve those signatures and make a small change. It's nothing nefarious. Sometimes you just run into those situations where you need to do that. There's a little trick where you can download your document so that it's now a flat PDF, and then you can add it back into the loop. So that way, if Rosie's signature was already there, it would be preserved. But then you can also hop in here and change what you need to change. Again, I'm not suggesting that you go behind people's backs and change stuff that they don't agree to, but on those odd cases where you need to, like, that's how you could do it. Yeah, if her signature were there, it would have remained there. So just a little, a fun tip there. Yeah, I'm good. And then let's see, next thing I wanted to tell you about real quick is that when it comes time to submit for review, well, first of all, I have some training videos that cover that more in depth that so I'm not going to go over the whole process of submitting for review or when it comes to closing documents or mutual releases. I have those training videos available on YouTube page. And actually just, as a little FYI preview, while we currently have all of our videos on the YouTube page public, we are going to be moving those to Platt Commons so that they're private. But either way, you'll be able to access these videos that go through that process more clearly. But anyway, so let me back up. One thing I just like to point out though, is that when it comes to submitting for review, the only documents that we need are the ones that are on this closing document checklist. What I see people often do is just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and select, all these folders and everything in them, but don't need inspection responses. And then that just makes it so that there's a lot of things that I have to like scroll through before I can check it. So, anything you can do to keep things organized is super helpful. So the biggest thing that I suggest to keep things organized is to put everything they're going to submit for closing into this closing documents folder. So you can do that by dragging and dropping. You can also, let's say you want to keep stuff in other folders, you can also make a copy and copy it to that loop that you're in that folder. Or you can do the thing where you download it and then add it to that folder. But either way, it's easiest if everything is in one folder. Then when you go to submit for review, so if you've submitted anything for review, you've seen these questions pop up. This box, it'll cause issues for people sometimes because you're like, oh no, I just want to get past that. But it's saying, nope, you have to fill out everything. And it's not just these questions, you have to scroll too. And these are questions, and the reason this happens is because we have made these questions required to submit for review so that they will pop up. Because we use a third-party vendor who can ask your clients about leaving a Google review so that we can increase our review presence online. If you want to do that, great, say yes, put in your client's info, awesome. If you don't, one little tricky thing is that it's still going to insist that you put something in these boxes. You don't have to put in your client's name. You can just put in anything just to make it go away. And then normally at this point in the process, you would already have something in here. But just in this case, I'm going to go ahead and fill it out. Cool. And then the last questions on here, we just want to make extra sure that we capture any referral info. In this case, I'm going to say, no, not a Platt Collective lead, no, not a lead from someone else. And then again, even if there's not any referral source info, it's going to make you put something in there. So then I can go to next. And what I was mentioning before about selecting all the folders, I see people just select every folder and submit them for review. Again, not necessary. It's best if all of the closing documents are just in one folder, submitting it for closing review, perfect. And then similarly, if it was a mutual release, it'd be best to have a separate mutual release folder, and you can just select that one for review as well. So just wanted to go over that box, make sure that's clear for people. Okay, a few last fun things on here to point out. Go back into this loop. Okay, so obviously folders, that's pretty clear, how to interact with those. This people section, sometimes I'll get questions like, hey, I messed up the email address for my client. How do I fix that? you go to this people section, go to these 3 dots, you can edit that person. So let's say it's actually, oh, Rosie at Nottingham Realty Group, cool. Yep, now I can fix that. And boom, different email address. Or let's say someone's no longer involved in the transaction, I need to get rid of them. You can also just remove them. Or let's say Rosie is actually an admin and I want her to be able to see everything in the loop. You know, she's going to help me send documents for review and signature and stuff. I can add her to my team so that she can see everything. Just, you want to be careful because, yeah, you only want someone to see everything if you really want them to, and you can't take that back. I guess you probably could delete them anyway. Yeah, a few things on the people section, and then this task section. So especially for new agents, this can definitely come in handy because you might be thinking, shoot, what all do I need to do in this transaction? We have task templates already ready here. So what do I need to do for buyer intake, contract to close, closing, and after closing? Let me just add all these in so you can see what this is like. So yeah, so for each of these different time periods of the transaction, you can literally check these off as you do them. You can say when you want to do them, so you can assign them to yourself, you can assign them to someone else and say that it's due whenever. So to keep yourself on track, if other people are helping you in the transaction, you can assign things to them. But yeah, just want you guys know that that is there. So, you know, we have things that we already have, you know, no need to reinvent the wheel. But if you do want to invent your own wheel, you can go to templates, tasks, and create your own task list. You come up with your own process. You want to make sure you do it. You can definitely make your own. And then also on this templates page, you can create your own clauses. So a clause will kind of get you to a similar place that the templated purchase agreement would, in that you can save time by saving things that you say over and over again. You know, so if you always say, you know, I want to include the refrigerator and appliances and blah, 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 any sections of the purchase agreement or any contract where you know it's going to be the same block of text each time, save yourself time by creating a clause. So I'm just going to make a dummy one here. And yeah, so this is my sample. That's my sample block of text. So now I'm going to pop back into that purchase agreement and show you how you can access that. Cool. Okay, so yeah, let's say I'm here. I want to edit text. I could just start typing text, whatever, but if I see it showing up right there, if you start typing in something that's in that clause, or even like you saw, it just popped up anyway, you can go ahead and insert that clause, right? You didn't have to type all that. It was already saved. Save yourself some time. Okay, so let's see. That is all I wanted to go over in dotloop. Like I said, you can also catch our YouTube videos. Their support team is also great. Feel free to reach out to them. The last thing that's in dotloop that transitions me to my next topic is Earnest. So just quick say my piece about Earnest. As you know, earnest money is still pretty, you know, it's in the stone ages of you write a check. New home buyers sometimes have to buy a checkbook just to write a check for earnest money. It's not the only way though. We don't do wire transfers, just as a rule, you know, it's not as secure and it's more expensive, but Earnest is the solution for that. It's kind of like a Venmo for earnest money. Basically, an agent on either side of the transaction can send a request to a buyer to transfer the earnest money directly from their bank account to our escrow account. And it's a $15 fee that gets passed on to the buyer. So you can use this anytime that you are representing a buyer and you're buying a plat listing, or if you talk to a listing agent, you know, somewhere else and you find out that they use Earnest, or, you know, title company, whatever. If you know that someone has their escrow account set up in Earnest, then your buyer can send Earnest money to them. And they have this website. They also have an app, but you can also just do it straight from dotloop. So you're like, oh, okay, yeah, need my Earnest money. Let's go ahead and send an Earnest request. And you don't even need to sign up for this ahead of time. They make it pretty easy by just enter your email address, and then it'll send a code. 169873. Cool. So now, for those of you who have never been into Earnest, this is what it's like. So if you're on the buy side and you're requesting Earnest money, yeah, you would have your buyer's email and phone number. But even if you're on the listing side, no, I don't have their email and phone. You can say who has the pairs info, and you can put the buyer's email address in here. So let's say if it's Rosie, whatever. Yeah, just two things. So that's how you can do it from either side of the transaction from Earnest. You put in the property address that you want the money for. You can select the escrow holder, which in our case is Platt Collective. Yep. And then it'll let you know that we're going to get notified. If I had all this information filled out here, it would let me send. I guess really all I'm missing is great. Yeah, so that's a quick little piece on Earnest. They also have great support. It's something that more people know about it, the easier it's going to be on all of y'all. And I'm really glad that they have this well integrated into .loop. Okay, last piece that I'm going to cover before I pass it back to Rosie is showing time. Obviously, all of you use showing time to schedule showings if you've gotten to the point where you have. But I just wanted to point out a few things, a few features that showing time offers that could be useful for you guys. So first of all, I really like this live video feature that they offer. Obviously, if you want to do a virtual showing for clients, you can do whatever kind of video streaming that you want, if that's FaceTime, if that's whatever, but they actually have this live video function built right into their app. So that when you're scheduling an appointment, you can say that you want it to be a live video showing. And then you can present that video of the showing straight from the app. So something good to think about. We're kind of getting out of this whole thing now, but this whole COVID thing. But even if it's an out-of-state person, it's nice that Showing Time has that functionality built in, so that you don't have to fumble with the technology. They have it built into their app to make it pretty easy to do that. Something else that I think is cool that they offer is Showing Cart. So they have this option here where you can basically add a bunch of properties to your showing cart, and then you have options to they have smart technology to figure out the best route for those properties. You can also do it based on, okay, when do I actually have available times for each of these properties for appointments, and it will tell you the best options for all of that. So why make the extra trouble of like, okay, should I go to this one next or this one? Nope, Showing Cart makes it really easy to create a tour for your buyers. And then you can even share it with them via the My Home app, which is the Showing Time app for clients. Okay, two more things to mention just on other stuff that you can do. Feedback forms. So, this is from the listing side, but if someone shows your property, of course, you have the option of sending them a feedback form to see what they thought about it. We have one that's our standard kind of design, but you also have the option to ask your own questions. So just something to think about if you find that you want specific feedback from people, just know that you have the option to create a custom template for that. And then lastly, under reports here, there's one that I wanted to point out in particular. It's this target market analysis. So this is something that could kind of help you figure out if you're not sure exactly the price point you want to go to. You're like, okay, I know that I'm going to price this listing between 200 and 250. But what in between that range would be the best price? What's going to get the most showing activity? That's really what this report is telling you. You can show those ranges in different increments. And let's say in the past 60 days, you know, this has been the showing activity within these price ranges. So you can see that in this price range, this 235 to almost 240, that's gotten the most showing activity, and that's using market-wide data. But you can also go so far as to drill down into zip codes. So to tell you, yeah, I'm listing a house in 46202, you know, what within this range has been the most popular price, or, you know, what has had the most showings in that price range in the past 60 days. So something that could be helpful, just as another way to help decide on price, and something that I wanted y'all to know is there. Rosie, that's it. Hopefully I left you enough time.
Perfect. Guys, before I hop into Gmail and Canva and Platt Commons, are there any questions that you guys have on the things that Michelle has already covered? If not, I know you guys are fully capable of just speaking your mind, so I would be surprised if you hadn't just jumped in, but yeah, I'm talking to you, Natanya, you know. Okay, perfect. Then everyone send me really good vibes right now, and we're just gonna hope the rainbow wheel of death does not come back. Okay, let me pull up the email. Okay, I am pulling up my, whoa, sorry, I'm gonna give you guys car sickness by scrolling through all these pages. Okay, so I am gonna pull up my personal email, so if you see shit you shouldn't, please forget about it, or I'm gonna come Men in Black erase your memory. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to say, something that I learned from working at a tech company, is to practice a zero inbox. That means you try to get your email inbox to 0 emails by the end of every day. So you can see I haven't checked my email yet today. I've had 31 new emails from today. And then you can see these like gray ones that I've already like checked in on really briefly. So I think that's really important because it just keeps you on top of things. For me, it makes me feel like I don't have steam blowing out of my ears. Like if I have a messy inbox, like this stresses me out. So the couple tips that I would have to help you get to a 0 inbox is go through and immediately archive every single thing that you don't even need to look at. So for instance, I actually get an email on every single one of our dotloop activities. I just, because I set up the dotloop account, I just like every single time any client of any of our agents signs anything, I'm the one getting notified. And so I go through here and just go, yep, don't need to look at any of this. Let's get it out of here. So it just really cuts down on things that you really need to look at. Another thing you'll see, I am not deleting these emails. I don't delete anything, and neither should you, because we have Gmail. It's unlimited storage, which means you don't need to delete anything, nor should you, because you never know when an email is going to come back to haunt you and you need it. So I archive everything. Just gets it out of your inbox, sends it into the magical archive, and you can search for it whenever you need to, but you don't have it in your face. So I used to, like back when we were in the dark ages using Outlook, I used to have to throw everything into a folder. I started to try to do that in Gmail with their whole like labeling system, and I was like, wait, I don't need to do that. I can archive everything. So I just go through and archive everything that I don't need to look at ever. Okay, so some other things that I want to tell you, I just have some tips and tricks that I've learned with Gmail that make my life amazing. So the first thing that it's probably one of my favorite things, and again, something I learned working at a tech company, is canned responses. Can I just see, like, does anyone know what canned responses is? Can you give me like a little thumbs up or a nod or anything? Yeah, okay, great. Okay, if you don't know what canned responses are, just like try to contain your excitement because it's about to get really amazing. First, I'm going to show you what they are, and then I'm going to go in and show you how to enable them because they're not automatically turned on in a Gmail account. But so I have this fresh new template, and let's say I'm talking to a recruit. If you don't know about my position, I help handle all of the recruiting that happens at Platt. So I talk to a lot of new people all the time, and generally they need to know the same kind of information. So I am going to hit these three little dots in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to go to templates, and you can see that I already have all of these amazing templates made up. And so if let's say I just talked to a recruit, just had my first phone call or email with them, and I want to send them a follow-up email, I hit recruit follow-up. And then you can see I have, usually in the meeting, I've told them, I'm going to send you great information on where you should take your class, where you should take your tests, a flyer that goes over all of our splits, expenses to expect as a new agent, and our training so that you can get to know us. And so I have all of these links already in there. I usually go through and edit and say, hey, John. I usually go and change the title because I just think people probably don't like being referred to as a recruit. So I say something like, thanks for meeting today, something like that. And then I send it along. Okay, so now that you see how they work, let me show you how to create a template. So again, you're going to start with that fresh email. Let me try to, the only thing that sucks about Zoom, okay, there's a lot of things that sucks about Zoom, but like I want to see all your little faces while I'm teaching you, and it's hard to get your faces in the right place. But anyway, okay, so this is fresh new email, something that is the best tip for canned responses. Take that email signature out, because when you go to actually put in the template, it's going to have your signature double loaded. So I'm going to take that signature out, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to leave a space so I know to put in their name. Love talking to you today. Here's, oh, you know what? I can't type and talk at the same time. So cheers, Rosie. Okay, so I want to save this as a template. I'm going to go in, hit templates. I'm going to scroll down and say, I want to save this draft as a template. And then you have to go over and say, save as new template. So the reason why it gives you that other menu of all these other options is you can rewrite over an old template. So for instance, no, you know what? I'm not going to rewrite over my templates. I don't know if I'm going to need them again. But yeah, that's how you do templates. It's really amazing. It helps you save a lot of time if you are constantly writing similar emails. So for instance, in your guys' life, you are constantly going to be sending buyers, here's your next steps. Here's what you need to do. Or after a listing presentation, hey, it was great to talk to you and see your lovely home today. Here are the next steps of what to do. Having that all just like in an email ready to go is amazing. So the way that you get that all enabled is you go to settings, see all settings, and then let me see, general, under general, advanced, and then templates. So make sure it's enabled. If it's disabled, you won't be able to use it. Okay, another thing that I use all of the time is send and archive. It's the most beautiful feature. Okay, so for instance, let's look at something. Okay, so tomorrow we have a monthly agent meeting happening at Heron Morton Park. Hopefully you can all come and bring your own camp chair, please. Michelle is reaching out to me to make sure that I am still good to do the reservation and if we're unlocking everything. So I'm going to reply to Michelle. I'm going to say, yep, we're good. And then there's this magical button that says send and archive. And that means I like say yes to her and that email immediately gets moved out of my inbox. So it just helps me get to my goal of 0 inbox. So again, you need to make sure that that is all set up in your settings. So again, go to settings, see all settings. It's under general and send an archive. So show send an archive button or hide send an archive button. Make sure that's all done for you. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you where Gmail is concerned, and I don't think I don't have any of them pulled up. There's this amazing feature called nudges in Gmail. And basically, let's say I sent an email to Michelle Freeman 3 days ago, and Michelle didn't email me back. Do I have time to remember that Michelle didn't email me back? Hell no. Gmail has this amazing feature where if someone hasn't responded to you, it's going to pull that email back up into your inbox and be like, "Dat bitch, Michelle didn't respond to you. Do you want to like remember or like remind her?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." So anyway, it's like this built-in memory system for you. It's amazing. It actually doesn't call Michelle a bitch because that would be really rude of Gmail. But anyway, you go into to make sure that's on, you go into settings, again, see all settings, and then it should be under nudges. Here we go. Just make sure all those little boxes are checked so that you get those perfect little nudges. Okay, that's Gmail. I'm going to pause quickly. Questions? Oh, I feel Natanya. I feel like she has a question for me.
No, I was just going to say those are amazing.
I know. Aren't they the best things ever? I'm so glad. Okay, cool. Okay, so a couple of my other favorite things that are Gmail adjacent are tasks, keep, and calendar. I'm going to start with tasks first. Again, I'm opening up my personal tasks. If you see stuff that you shouldn't in here, please just forget everything. Okay, so this is this little button on the side here. Sorry if I click that too quickly. Tasks. Okay, this is how I literally run my life. I keep task lists for all the different things I need. I have different lists of different tasks that keep me on track. So for instance, these are all the different people that I collaborate and work with most often. And so I keep questions I need to ask them on file all the time. But my most used task list is just called my tasks. It's everything that I need to get done in the next couple of days. Hopefully we'll see. It's really long because I was out on vacation last week and I feel overwhelmed. Okay, but things that are helpful for you to know with tasks. When you add a task, let's say I want to remember to call Gigi. You can add a date and a time for that, and it will pop up when you need it to. It'll pop up on your computer if you allow desktop notifications. It also has a task app. So let me see. Okay, you guys can see my phone. I can just go to tasks, same task list right there, and it'll pop up with nudges on my phone. So that's really handy. You can also have something that says repeat, which I use for like paying bills. I also use this for personal stuff too. So if I'm like, I need to send my dad my phone bill because yes, I'm still on my parents' phone plan because it's way cheaper. I will set a thing that says pay Daddy-O. And I want to remember to pay him on the 13th of every month at 10 a.m. There we go. Oh, did I not set a repeat? There we go. Every 1 month. There you go. Now you see it. Okay. That's tasks. They're amazing. Please use them. Okay. Another thing I use all the time is Keep. So Keep, if you ever used like Evernote, is Evernote a thing? Yeah, with the little elephant figure. Okay, Evernote or Notes in Apple. This is Google's version and it's way better than anything else out there. So use it. Okay, again, this is on your desktop or like in your Gmail platform, but it's also on your phone. mine's right there. I can take all kinds of notes. For instance, you're going to see some personal notes on here, but I have a couple of notes pinned so that they're always going to be at the top of my list. And they are things like the grocery list that I use every week, or state parks that I want to visit. But you can use these for different collaborating things. So I'm showing you, this is like the full expanded version of this. But for instance, Michelle and I led an advisory board session earlier this morning, and we jotted down some very brief notes on what we wanted to do with it. Actually, that's not the one with Michelle. Here's the one with Michelle. You can add collaborators to notes. So for instance, Michelle and I are on here. I could add Natanya to that as well if I wanted to. Yeah, Natanya. Other things that you can do with notes. Okay, I literally think this is maybe one of the coolest things I'm going to show you. Say I have a note that's like, okay, tomorrow I need to remember to bring my bike into work. Have to remember. I could say, all right, I want to remember that. Ooh, not later today. I want tomorrow at 8 a.m. I can remember that at that time. I can also pick a place to remember it. So I'm like, I don't need it at a time. I just need it next time I walk in my front door. I need to remember to bring my bike tomorrow. So I pick a place. 6179 Crittenden is my address. And next time I show up at 6179 Crittenden, it's going to pop up and be like, yo, tomorrow, bring your bike. It's amazing. So I think that can be helpful for you guys. Yeah, if you are heading to a listing and you're like, okay, these are the notes that I need every time I walk into this listing. And so you can say, you know, you can have the address on there, and you can say, okay, remember that these are the homeowners association rules that I need to go over with clients. These are this, this, and this. And it'll pop up every time that you walk into that listing. So yeah, that's Keep. It's super cool. Then let me show you Calendar really quickly. Okay, so this is my calendar, except it has all of my stuff not on there. Let me pull up my actual calendar. Nope, doesn't want to do that. Okay, whatever, you're on my calendar. You can see all of the things that I have on there. Got my schedule, got my boyfriend's schedule, I got my workout schedule, all on there in one place. Things that I think would be helpful for you. You should know how to book a conference room on our calendars. I think you can also book them through Platt Commons, but I want you to see them how they do here. Also, side note, I'm definitely going to go at least 15 minutes over on this session. Peace out whenever you need to. I'm going to keep training just so it's recorded. You can check it out whenever you need to, but I'm definitely going to go over because it's already 9:57. Okay, so calendar. How to book a conference room. Let's say tomorrow I want to book a conference room at 4 p.m. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to go to the more options. I'm going to say, call it reserved for Rosie. And I want to look at what rooms that I have. Okay, so right now we have two different offices. We have BotaWorks. Right now we're just calling the other one the Platt Collective office, but I really need to change that to 16th Street office. But let's say I want to go to the 16th Street office and I want that back conference room. I'm just going to select that. Cool, there it is. I've got it booked. Who do I want to add? Michelle Freeman. I want to add some Mark Nottingham. I want to add some Ashley Gardner in there. And there we go. This is going to send out a calendar invite that invites these three people to this room at our 16th Street location. That is how you book a conference room via calendar invite. Honestly, I think it's way easier than the system we have for Platt Commons because there wasn't an easy way to do that. So you have a way to book it through Gmail, I would do that. Okay. Other things that are important for you to know with calendar. If you want to schedule a meeting with folks, you can actually see anyone with a Platt email address's calendar. Most of the time it's going to show up as, oh, this person is busy. But for instance, I use this for staffing all the time. I want to meet with Michelle. I can see everything that she has going on in her calendar. I'm like, oh, cool. She's free today at 1. Let me just go ahead and drop a meeting on her calendar. And then it just already goes ahead and sees that Michelle is in there and that you want to meet with her. Okay. If you are now freaked out by the possibility that people can see anything that's on your calendar, let me show you how to make that private. So go to settings on your calendar, and then I'm going to pick a specific calendar. So for instance, this is my main calendar. This is what really has everything on it. And then I want to go to access. So for anyone who is on Platt Collective, who has that Platt Collective email address, I'm fine with y'all seeing whatever the hell I put on there. I don't have it available to the public, so anyone outside of the organization just couldn't see what was on my calendar unless I shared it with them. But for instance, if I'm like, you Platt people are nosy, I don't want you to see everything that I'm up to, I can go on here and I can just say, see if only I'm free or busy. So it'll just show up, you know, this person has something on their calendar at this time, but you can't see like, oh, I have a dentist appointment or whatever. Make sense? Yep. All right. I think that's all I have with calendar. Okay, I'm gonna switch away from Gmail and I'm going to move to Canva. Bye-bye Gmail. Oh wow, stopped me screen sharing. Let me do that again. Okay, Canva, here we are. This is maybe one of my favorite places. Okay, so this is going to be super basic. Michelle and I can go over this with you more if you need more help, or there's also a huge library of training content put on by Canva, so you can also check that out too. But let's say I want to create a design. I probably create a Facebook post most often, so I'm just going to do one of those. Okay, what's helpful to know about Canva is I think it's best if you work in layers. So if I think, you know what, I really want the background of this post to be a certain color. Click on the post, see my little color options. Look at that, we already have all of our brand colors just loaded straight into Canva. How great is that? So I am going to say I want it to be dark blue. You know what, I think a border would look good on that. I'm gonna go to elements. And then I am going to go to lines and shapes. I think, yeah, I want one of these guys. And then I'm going to the color again because I want it to be light blue. Then I can just use all these arrows to get it into the space that I want it to be. I feel like I'm flying through this, so please stop me if I'm confusing the hell out of you. Okay. And then I think this post is going to be about agent training. I want to make an advertisement for agent training. So I'm going to go through text. We already have, when it goes to these texts, the heading, subheading, and little body of text, these are all in our brand fonts. So I'm going to go ahead, add a heading. Gotham is a brand font. It's Gotham again. Oh, just lots of Gotham in all of these is what I'm learning. Another thing that I love to do, because Gotham kind of feels a little thick and bold to me, I like Gotham Book better. Also considered a brand font. I use that one way more often. So I go there and then I say agent training. Fun fact, if I'm looking at this and I'm like, ugh, it looks terrible with most of that lowercase, I'm gonna highlight that whole thing. I'm going to go to the 3 little dots, And I'm gonna push this button that says uppercase. Bam! It's all uppercase. It's one of my favorite things. Okay, another thing I find really helpful is locking elements. So for instance, if I don't want this border to move ever, I can just push this little lock button, and now I go to try to move it and it's like, no way, I'm just here. I'm here for life. And I just leave it there. Okay, let me show you some other things that exist in this elements page. There's elements tab, excuse me. There are so many things. There's like a million different graphics. You can search for graphics. So if I want a flower, it gives me all these amazing options for flowers that I can just click and put right in. Okay, let me show you. We have, nope, that's not helpful. They literally just uploaded or updated this little tab over here yesterday, and I'm a little bit like, where is everything? Why have you changed it on me? Okay, I don't know how to get to my folders. Michelle, are you still on here?
I am looking for your folders.
Kind of.
Under more.
Ah, God, that was way too hard to find. Okay, so you should have some things that are like automatically shared with you if you're under a Plaid account. For instance, all of our logos. So you can just plop Plaid logo right in there. There's also our Plaid map, our Plaid Ps, anything that you would need Plaid affiliated should be right in there. Another tool I'm obsessed with is, okay, let's say I have this, I'm like, it has a white background. That looks horrible. Can I get rid of that? Yes, you can. Click on it, go to Effects, go to Background Remover, and let it do its thing. Just thinking about how to get rid of all this white stuff. Look at that. Background is gone. Perfect Plaid logo right there. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. Let me see if I have anything else I want to cover in there. Yes, I do. Okay, so Canva has some of these amazing features that I'm going to try to find because again, they just updated and changed everything on me. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So something fun that you can do is kind of automatically change up the look and feel of a post very quickly. So I'm going to go, if you didn't see that, let me show you again. Go to Styles. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to hit Voga. And it's going to change everything to different colors. And I'm like, ooh, that looks bad, but I still like this color palette. I can shuffle. Oh, and it'll just keep changing as much as I want. Yeah, so that can be helpful if you're lacking inspiration. You can use it to just shake things up a bit. Another thing that I love so much is the Canva palette matcher. So let me show you that. Usually I just Google for this because it's in a separate page. It's not like on your account. Okay, so if I'm like, man, I have this one picture that I just want to be able to use all the colors from, I can upload an image. See if I have any helpful images. Here we go. Look at that. It just pulled all of those colors out of this picture and now you have them here. So I want to copy this yellow. I'm going to go back to my post and I'm going to say, I really want the background of this whole thing to be yellow, that yellow that I just looked for. So I can just search in there. There it is, that yellow. Okay, that's all I'm going to show you in Canva. There's literally so much more I could show you, but not today, because we have some Platte Commons to talk about. Now I'm going to go through it lightning fast. Okay, if you didn't know, here we go. Platte Commons is our, damn it, did it take me out of screen share again? All right. All right, Platte Commons is our internal website. There is so much stuff on here and I'm gonna blitz right through it. So buckle up, hold on to your pants. Okay, here is the main page. You get here, there's some great things on this little slidey bar. It's probably not updated, don't judge me. But we have transaction management with Chong. You can go ahead and order straight from here. If you hit this order now button, it immediately sends you to her Google form where you can fill out everything you need for your transaction. I think she charges $300 per transaction and she's the bomb. You should absolutely use Chong. These are new agents. These are agents we added in March. Sorry, April and May agents, we'll get to you eventually. Free item alert. These are things that we give away for free in our 16th Street office. As I scroll down, I can see a little link to different office exclusive listings that we have available right now. We'll pop in there and see more of that. Then you can scroll down and see quick links. This should be pretty much everything that you use on a day-to-day basis. So this will take you straight to your Gmail, Vibor, Dotloop, anything else that you would need to get to on a day-to-day basis. Okay, that's the home page. Let me show you. So if I'm going to click here on this office exclusive listings, I can scroll down and see different listings that agents have posted. So we created this page because office exclusive listings are supposed to be completely private. Only our agents are allowed to see them. They're only available for our agents to sell. And so we didn't want it to be like posting on Facebook or what have you. At least we wanted to give people a different option rather than Facebook. But this works pretty similar to Facebook. You can create a new post. You can start, basically it says start a discussion, but it's a post. I can go there and I can say, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street office exclusive. Then I can post pictures and add whatever text that I need here. That's office exclusives. Let me show you agent services. This is probably the biggest thing that we have available on Platte Commons. This is where you can go on and order really anything that you need to in terms of marketing. So we have photography and Matterport, we have live video and drone, all available, except not for this month because our Matterport vendor just left, but we're working on that. We'll should have it figured out very soon. But you basically come here, you can say book now. And again, it says currently unavailable because our Matterport vendor is gone, but in a couple weeks, this will be back up. You can fill out your name, your information. You can say, I want photography in Matterport. You can choose your photographer. You can also click in and see their portfolio if you wanted to see their past work. See eventually who will be our Matterport vendor. You can say, do I want a floor plan that shows me all the dimensions of every room? Yeah, that sounds great. That's going to add on $15 more. Do I want marketing services? Flyers and Instagram graphics and Facebook graphics all made up for you? Yeah, that sounds pretty dope. I'm gonna get that. What? I can just choose right here what I want? Yes, you can. This design too is my favorite. So I'm gonna go into that. And then I can go through and fill out, yep, December 5th from 2 to 5 p.m. is when that open house is. It's a long time away, but I'm really prepared. Preferred contact info for flyers. That would be my info if I was the agent. Please indicate your preferred date and time for selected services. Our vendors will reach out directly to you to schedule. So they'll have your contact information and they'll be like, hey, Natanya, see you have this amazing listing coming on 1234 Main Street. When would you like me to come and take photos? And then you guys can just schedule it from there. Listing address. basically we have a 15-mile radius from downtown Indianapolis, from actually the circle, where we say pricing is like all included within those miles. But if it's outside, so basically, you know, when you get out into Whitestown and Fishers and McCordsville, that's just like really far for our vendors to travel. And so we just do a $10 upcharge if it's outside of those areas. Again, more information, please put in the alarm info if you have one on your listing. I don't know if anyone else has gotten the police called on them because they went into a listing and didn't know there was alarm, but I have, and it was horrible. So please put alarm info in there. Okay, that's agent services. Hit me up if you have more questions. Another thing that we have on Platte Commons is the shop. You can go and buy a bunch of different stuff. So for instance, I really want another Platte sweatsuit because I wear mine literally every single night and it's getting worn out. I need another one. I can go in here and say, yep, let's get me another sweatshirt. We're out of smalls, but you can get a medium or a large, add to cart, go ahead and check out. We have a third-party vendor that helps us with this. If you guys aren't familiar with Tactive, they do all of our printing for us. They're amazing. They are just down the street on 16th Street, but you'll pay for your item. You won't pay for shipping if you get it sent to the 16th Street office. They'll just drop that off there for free and then you can pick it up from there. Another handy thing that you guys should know as agents is you can order signs from here. So obviously when an agent joins us, we handle getting their signs and everything ordered. But afterwards, if you need any more signs additionally, you can just come on here and say you want to order another sign shingle. You add in your line of text. Most of the time, this is your name and your phone number / email. And then you just say add to cart if you want to keep shopping or buy it now. I feel like I just mansplained how to add something to your cart, and I apologize deeply for that. Okay, another thing, the next page we have on here is team. This breaks down who all of our people are at Platte and what teams they're under. So as we are growing, I think this is helpful for you guys to figure out, like, okay, who is this new person? Where do they belong? This shows you who everyone is and their contact information. We have all of our independent agents listed first. So those not on a team. And then I'm just going to scroll down a bit further so you can see we also have all of our teams listed. So you can go through here and see like, oh, who's on the Andrew Barr team? Ah, got it. That Leslie and Justin. Good folks. Anyway, has all that listed out there if you ever wanted to see that. There's an events page that is basically useless, so I'm not going to go over it. But sometimes, hopefully, it shows you when we have things coming up. So for instance, we have our monthly agent meeting tomorrow. But why I'm saying this is useless is it should all be on your Google Calendar as well, and I'm guessing you would use that more often. Like I said, we have all of our training videos linked here, so you can see everything we've ever done is right here, which is helpful. We also have a vendors page. Isn't super intuitive. We're working on this, but it has all the vendors that our different agents have ever recommended. So for instance, Tatum Hill referred Airco for asbestos and mold remediation. We don't have a direct contact, but you can click on this see more, and it has all of their different company contact information on it. We also have a fax page that goes over all of the questions that Michelle and I get asked most often. How do I book a conference room? How do I share my screen? How do I submit closing documents? Michelle has done all the hard work for you and put all the answers right here. So please feel free to always ask us those questions. That's what we're here for. But if you wanted to not ask a human being, you can go to this page. Another great thing for you as a brand new agent is the new agent hub. The new agent hub shows you a bunch of stuff that you need to know. If you've gone through an orientation in the last 6 months, you are probably familiar with this page because this is what Michelle used to orient you. But it goes through all the different resources to know. So what you should know. Like new agents are probably like, wait, what is Canva again? What do I use it for? Michelle breaks all that down for you here, all the different resources that we offer. Fun fact, if you have kids, we have a Platt nanny. You get 5 hours a week that we pay for someone to watch your kids. CD, can't wait to have you use that. All that good stuff. There's people to know. So if you're ever like, what is the difference between Michelle and Rosie? They look alike, they have similar energy. What do they do? You can go here and see, oh, got it. Michelle onboards new agents. She takes in earnest money, all that good stuff. You can find her at the front desk at 16th Street. And Rosie, oh, she's that recruiter. She does all of that random stuff. So it basically breaks down all of our roles and what we do, because sometimes it gets really confusing, especially as we add more people on. Documents to know about. These are like brokerage specific documents that we think would be helpful for you. So if you're a brand new agent, you can see this guide to the first 90 days. And this is what we give all of our brand new agents to walk through. Closing document checklist. You use this to turn all the closing things in. And then your policy on agency. Michelle walks you through how to submit closing documents, how to accept brokerage leads, what expenses you should expect, more expenses that you should expect, how to come into the office, know that the office is yours, it should be, hopefully, feels like your second and third homes. Different resources, and then recurring events that we have. Last thing I'm going to mention is your profile. So you can, on Platt Commons, you can go through and add different things about you. Here's me and my thing. You can go through and edit all that. You can go through and look at your posts on that Office exclusive page. Ooh, I don't know if it's gonna pull up mine. Maybe I don't have any. I think that's probably the most helpful things. Let me see if I can get this to pull up. The last thing that I think is kind of cool on Platt Commons is I share all of our Platt photos that we have, like as a team. So if I wanted to load another page, which is probably not going to let me do. Anyway, you can go onto that shared gallery. You can see like, oh, when we did a city cleanup, there's all of our photos for that. Or our last holiday party, which feels like 1,000,000 years ago. Our pie tea, there's all the photos for that. So, yeah, that's everything. Guys, I'm going to stop talking because wow, I've been talking for a long time and I'm also 22 minutes over. So there's that. There's technology. Any questions before I finish everything up? Dope. You guys have been an amazing audience. I can't believe you stayed for another 22 minutes. You're the real Slim Shady? Is that a thing that I could say? Okay, everyone, have an amazing Wednesday. Adios.